Good morning, Tom.
Good morning, Ruth. How are you this morning?
Doing well. Thank you. Thank you. So, where are you now?
Still at home.
You're actually at home. My
Yeah.
gosh.
Yep.
You and Bhante, you just never know where you're going to appear from.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah. So I got over the fever after 5 days.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So um I think it
Wow.
had
Do
to
you know
do.
what it was?
I think I got an infection cleaning the attic in my parents' house, and I
Um,
wasn't wearing a mask. And then I went through the fever, and then went back to work and wore a mask continuously.
right,
It was
right.
with
So, how do you feel?
Oh, fine.
Do you good?
Yeah, yeah. It was
Wow.
only a fever.
Really?
Yeah, it's very strange. So must have been
Huh.
just some sort of infection I was fighting.
Right, right.
Yep,
But
yep.
you didn't feel sick. You just had a fever.
Yeah, fever and weak.
Right. Well, right, right. But you didn't feel, I mean, there was no other.
No, no other symptoms. Yep, yep. So that's what I think the body's supposed to do.
Yeah, yeah. And you're strong and healthy enough that it didn't, you know, take
Yeah,
you down in other ways. Just,
right. Yep,
I mean, the fever, which I'm sure you know this, but the fever just comes from the body's extra energy it's putting out to fight whatever it is.
right.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's what causes the increase in temperature is that everything in the body is working hard.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's a good thing. I mean, it's,
yeah.
you know, um, I mean, yeah, it's a good thing in a kind of funny way.
Right,
Right.
right.
Yeah.
So, but it's a good chance to do a lot of reading.
Uh-huh.
Yep,
Right. So yeah, because you didn't feel bad. You just felt weak.
yep, yep.
Good morning, Jack. He's connecting to audio.
Mhm.
And Jack has had surgery on he ruptured a hamstring.
Mm.
So he had to have it reattached to his hip. So he's, hi, how are you doing there?
I seem to be locked up, but
Okay, well,
I may switch to my phone if this doesn't work though. But
well,
yay, I'm here.
it looks like you're on your phone now because you have that skinny little picture.
Well, it's my tablet. I'm not on my usual computer, so
Ah, so tablets do that too. How about that?
yeah, I think it depends on what angle they're at. But
Yeah.
I can hear you guys, but I don't see any move. Nothing's moving or anything. So
Oh, really? Oh, gotcha. Well, you look good from our perspective. You're moving and you're sounding and you're.
oh, I move. You guys can see me move. I just can't see you. Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, we can see you doing it. So watch out.
Yeah, glad you told me because
We can see you.
I saw that.
We see everything. Other than it's the narrower picture, but you're in total movement.
Oh, there you go. Now it's moving.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll see what happens. There has been a lot of ups and downs and backs and forths with the time for this class. Um, so I had actually said 7:30 to 8:30 and told Bhante that and told the his invitees 7:30, but then when Peter sent out the link, he said 7. So I rushed an email to Bhante and said, and this was about 11:30 his time last night, that said, well, the word is out. The notification says 7, so I hope you can make it. So we'll see what happens. Um, But there's, well, hello. What a beautiful, this is your floppy cat.
Yeah. Who will sit here and scream if I don't let him sit in my lap. So normally I'm at a different desk and you guys can't see him.
Uh-huh,
Otherwise,
gotcha.
he sit here and yell. Because he's Siamese, he'll sit here and yell the whole time if I don't let him sit in my lap.
Uh-huh,
He
yeah.
knows exactly what to do to get his own way.
Yeah. Well, I have one of those who is not Siamese, who I have to, therefore, my door is closed.
If I put him outside in a lot somewhere where I can lock him away, he just gets louder. It's even
Oh, well,
worse.
I'm the one that's locked away. They've
Yeah.
got the whole, they've got the whole house. But my back door, this room has a door to the outside, and I have that open. So I'm not, you know. But the cats are in the house, rest of the house. I'm in the study with the door shut. But yeah, I know Siamese is, I grew up with the Siamese cat. My parents had one. So yeah, and I tell you, this one cat of mine is a combination, is a hybrid of Hungry Ghost and Siamese.
Yeah, this one fits that category pretty well too.
Yeah, yeah.
Always noisy, always hungry.
Right. I used to have a pet sitter back in the days when I was a working woman who, when I traveled, would come and take care of the cats. And she called this cat I'm talking about, well, her name is Abby. So my pet sitter was Blabby Gabby Abby Cat. That was so that has definitely stuck. Blabby Gabby Abby Cat. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. He may come on at 7:30. That's like 20 minutes from now. So so anyway, we'll see. So do you think, Tom, that you will be making it for the Buddhism 101? You had
No, I won't.
mentioned it. You won't.
Yeah, I was hoping to, but
Right. You had mentioned it, right? It's a
I
long
was,
drive.
I yes,
Yeah, period.
I always deny it, but it ends
It
up
is
it
a long
is.
drive. Yeah. What, about 6 hours? 6 or
8 hours on the road.
8?
Yeah. And of course, that's traffic dependent.
Right. So you're pretty far north, and I thought you were in Philadelphia. I'm
No, I'm just 7 miles south of the New York state line.
Oh, you're way up. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
7
near
or 8 hours.
Corning, New York, right, Elmira, New York.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. So what city, what town are you in?
There is none.
Good answer. Oh, that's kind of nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the township is 37 square miles, and there are 1,100 people.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. So, but you're near Corning. I mean, you're in that part of so you really, yeah, that's somehow how did I think you were around Philly? I don't know.
Yeah.
Or anyway, you're not.
No. I'm 4.5 hours from Philly.
Yeah, so I was going to say that's well, for my driving, that would be about 8 or 9 hours, 8 hours at least. You don't take, yeah, right. You would take the Continental, you'd take 64, the whole 64
No, it's 64 to Richmond area, then up 95.
In 95, right? Right.
Yeah, then 270. So that's the big variable is the Richmond DC traffic.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
When I lived in Delaware, now this was northwestern Delaware, about 45 minutes from Philly. I always went up the Eastern Shore
sure. Oh, yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
it was
Great.
much faster,
Yeah, yeah,
much
yeah,
faster,
and more pleasant. Yeah,
and a lot more pleasant. Yes, two big factors.
yeah,
But even when I lived in Newark, which is right there near Baltimore, and I was within 45 minutes of Baltimore, I
yeah,
still went the Eastern Shore route,
sure. Yeah,
even though I was like 3 minutes from 64.
okay.
Because I'd had to go through Baltimore, I had to go through DC, I had to go through,
Yeah,
not through, but had to deal with the traffic in Baltimore and DC and then in Richmond if I took the other route. And that could easily add 2 hours to
yeah,
the drive.
yeah,
But from
yeah,
where you are, you would have to take that more inland route.
yeah. It's a lot fewer miles.
Right.
But once in a while, I'll do the Eastern Shore,
Mhm.
do an Eastern route and go down.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so it varies.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we have another guy from Philly that comes down periodically, and that's enough of a drive from Philly.
Mhm.
It's still about 5 hours,
Right.
5.5.
Yep. Yep.
I remember the last time that I went to from Richmond to DC, I actually got off and took Route 1 almost the entire way.
Wow.
Well, I ended up getting there faster.
Yeah, I
It
bet.
wasn't until I hit Spotsylvania that I ran into traffic. So there was traffic lights and stuff, but it was a beautiful drive.
Mhm.
And I didn't run into any problems like I would have on the interstate because the interstate was just all snarled up. It was during the weekend. So it was Morgan. I was actually going with Morgan. We went to go see a tiny house convention. So
Oh,
it
cool.
was just it was a really nice trip up Route 1
Uh-huh.
to a convention. So
Yeah.
and sometimes getting off the interstate is the best way to go.
Right. I mean, and the thing on the interstate, even locally, like if I'm going out to the beach, I do
Yeah.
not use from here. I don't use the interstate at all. If it gets backed up, you're stuck.
Yeah.
It's not like the boulevard where there's a turnoff every 20 feet.
Exactly. Or if not, there's a 7-Eleven every 20 feet. You
You can at least pull over and get a coffee or something.
Get a coffee or something on the interstate, you were totally stuck. Right.
That's the way to travel.
Yeah. The back roads, right? I have a map. I used to ride a motorcycle a lot, and I have a map of the US. It's just all the back roads everywhere.
Mhm.
So that's kind of a cool thing.
Yeah, my
the country.
Amethyst's mom used to live in Mechanicsville, and she would take, I think it's 40 from Suffolk to Richmond,
Yes.
but she hated getting on the interstate, and that's a really nice drive too. That's another one that takes you through just enough country.
Mm-hmm.
Cat's decided I'm not petting correctly, and he's starting to scratch me. He may have to go.
Do your legs look like mine from my knees to my hips? They're little, just a mass of scabs. It looks like the constellations in the sky.
Yep.
With
I've got cuts all over the back of my hands too that people can't see most of the time. Little scratches that go away after an hour or so. But
yeah.
problem with a floppy cat is they're terrible lap cats because they have a tendency to fall out of your lap. And there's only one way they know how to stop, and that's with claws. So
yeah. So I won't be here for the next 2 classes. Just FYI. So I'm going to, I'll let Bhante know. I've been kind of the one that's been, who knows what time they'll be. Apparently Bhante did not get my message about the notice going out at 7 o'clock. Although he's on that list, so he should have gotten it too. I don't know. Anyway, I'll try
I
to
don't know
get,
how the email works, but there is, I think your email comes from some sort of a customer contact thing.
MailChimp.
Okay.
Yeah.
And sometimes they put there's a header in it that doesn't appear anywhere in the email, but only comes across in the summary of
Right.
the email. And in it, it said 7:30 to 8:30, but then I opened the email and read everywhere and it says 7 to 8.
7 to 8. I know.
So some people may
And you
see the
can
header.
change, right? You can change that header. And I've talked, Peter is the one who does the emails.
Yeah.
He's our email person, and I've talked to him about that. And sometimes he gets the header changed, and sometimes he doesn't.
Okay. Yeah.
But you can change the header. I mean, obviously, it was created in the first place, so
Sure.
anything created can
Right.
can go away, right?
Somehow,
Impermanence.
Principles of Buddhism.
yeah. I suspected it might actually start at 7:30, but
Yeah. So
Well,
I think 7
and
is-
also, when I've taught classes before, when I get an email that says that I'm teaching a class, I don't actually read the email because I'm the one teaching the class. So if it was wrong, Bhante may have just looked and said, "Oh, my class," and just looked no further.
Sure.
yeah. Well, I have learned to read everything because I have seen the results of what happens when people don't. Yeah.
Oh, and
You know, you'll put all the information in the email, and then you'll get an email from someone that will ask one of the questions that's in the email. So I try very hard to be a good Buddhist and not be snarky. And say,
I don't know. I've read some of the sutras. Buddha could get a little snarky. I've noticed that.
yeah, he can, but that's okay. I'm not at the point where snarkiness is allowed yet. Well, you know what I mean.
Do you want me to change the website to reflect 7 or 7:30 for the classes? I can do that now that I've figured out how to do it.
I have no idea. Right now, I don't know what time they're going to be. And I've got to get this figured out in the next few days because I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to be here. So I'm going to have to be doing some logistics to figure out, you know, and I don't, the only way I have to communicate with Bhante is email. And that's, you know, not real. He's 6 hours earlier than us. I mean, like right now, it's in the afternoon of the same day. Earlier meaning he gets the time before we do.
Yeah.
So in the sense it's later in the day, but but yeah, so that's kind of confusing. But anyway, so I'll send him an email, and it may be 1 o'clock in the morning when I'm sending it. For him, it may be 1 o'clock in the morning. So it's a long time before I get a response. And by then, things could have
Could be
changed.
too long.
Things could have changed here. So it's really, it's crazy. And getting responses here, because a couple of the students are in California. So right now for them, it's, you know, it's like 4:20 in the morning.
Yeah.
So, so anyway, at least the one, I gave her the link to find the recording. So that, she can find that. But anyway, there's a lot of logistics going on here, so I've got to get it all figured out, I guess, before I leave. So anyway. So do you have neighbors, Tom?
Not actually,
Far away are your neighbors?
there's one neighbor that's about a quarter of a mile away, and the rest are further.
Wow. Wow. So is all that land yours, or is it just open land?
I have 15 acres, and my parents' estate is an adjacent 205 acres.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah, and the closest neighbors have about 15 acres, so it varies, but that's about the smallest you see. It's like
Yeah.
15 acres. A few people have a small plot next to the road somewhere.
Right. And a small plot would be like an acre
An acre or two, yeah.
or two, which, in our world, that would be a huge,
Yeah.
huge amount of land. That's very nice. What do you do with the land? Are you farming, or just, is it wild, or how is it?
A mix. Sometimes, last 2 years, I haven't done any growing of anything.
You've been traveling too much.
But well, my her last year of her life was kind of time consuming.
Yes.
And then but we have a small lake, a big pond, and it's fun just to sit there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's nice.
And we have an awful lot of wildlife. We take it for granted.
Yeah. No, you don't. I'm sure you don't. Look at that smile.
Well, I mean,
yeah.
we get to notice it. Yeah. But we have coyotes, foxes, bears, deer, muskrats, just all sorts of wildlife around here all the time. Yeah, in the yard a lot.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep.
That's awesome. And I'm sure they enjoyed the pond too.
Oh yeah, it's quite an ecosystem.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of fish, and we get geese that come and have goslings every year. And
what kind of geese do you get?
Canada geese.
Canada geese.
And then a lot of birds.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. All sorts. Owls, whippoorwills, crows, big, small.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Yep.
You have any of the eagles, or?
Yeah, eagles too.
Eagles and hawks. So they.
Yep. Vultures. Yep.
The full works. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
How long have you lived there?
Believe it or not, when I got out of the Navy, it's been coming up on 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And
that is awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah. But so we've been around here for a while.
Right.
Sort of.
So what about your father? How is he still walking on this planet, or has he moved on?
No, he went fairly quickly, and I did his home hospice care because he was right across the road from me. And in 2015, yeah,
right.
And my mom died last year, so but they originally bought this place in 1966. Well, we lived in Virginia Beach, and they bought this place as a retirement place. And he was going to retire from the Navy, but then he got shot down and had to wait 5 years to retire.
Right, that's the
So,
book, which is phenomenal. Right.
so we moved up here while he was there in Hanoi,
Uh-huh.
and rented the place in Virginia Beach. So I actually finished high school here.
Uh-huh, wow,
I didn't graduate from First Colonial.
wow, how about that?
Yeah,
So they had the place across the way.
right. And they
About the place for you.
subdivided a lot when I got out of the Navy, and I bought a lot.
Oh, I see. So what you're on now was part of theirs,
Yep.
right? So what are you going to do with your parents' home?
I don't know. I'm still working there every day,
Yeah, yeah,
cleaning.
yeah. Well, make sure you wear a very strong mask next time.
I am now.
Mm-hmm.
I was earlier and I neglected it, and that's how I got
And it
sick.
gotcha. Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Hmm. Very nice. So you said you have about 12 acres? 13? 15 acres. Wow. That is, that's, wow. That's really nice. I have a lot and a half. Which
Yeah.
here is it's kind of a big yard.
Yeah, it is.
That's cool. Well, we'll see. We've got a few more minutes, and we'll see if Bhante comes in at 7:30.
I'm glad we've been using the same sutra for a while, because I'm starting to maybe understand it a little bit.
Ah, yeah. Yeah. He goes into great depth
Mhm.
in his teaching. He really does. Yeah. And bringing in the so many related sutras. That kind of wind up springboarding out of the original one. So well, Jack knows this already, but I've got an interesting experience coming up, Tom.
Mm.
I've been invited to come up and spend 8 days with a group of nuns that live in Davenport, Iowa.
Oh, wow.
They're in the middle of their 3-month retreat. So I'm going to get to go up and spend those 8 days in retreat with them.
Oh, okay.
So I'm looking forward to it and have really no idea what to I mean, they've told me a schedule that the retreat day follows, but it should be very, very interesting. It's a group of nuns. They're two of the nuns are ones that I've been teaching English to for about 3 years over Zoom.
Oh, okay.
Got an English class, and they're two of the most devoted students, actually.
Uh-huh.
And they've been asking me about coming up for quite a while, and finally I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So,
Where are they from that you're teaching English?
the class, the people are from all over the place. There's some in California, Georgia, Florida, Maryland, Iowa, Tennessee, Illinois, Canada.
Okay.
So they're from all around.
Uh-huh.
The students for the class,
Yeah.
right? The students for the class, they were collected, I guess you could say, by Titan.
Oh, okay.
He kind of brought them all together, and so I've been teaching them for about 3 years. And the two that are in Iowa are the ones that have asked me to come up and visit for a little over a week.
Oh, okay.
So,
Wow.
so that will be interesting.
Yeah.
Not only just to spend a week in a monastery in a nun's life, but also to do that during a time of retreat.
Right.
The temple is actually closed during this 3-month period.
Okay.
Other than to their members of their Sangha, the congregation, who come in for the purpose of the retreat. But the retreat schedule stays as it is. And people can, come in and participate, but it's closed for any other kinds of activities other than the retreat for the 3 months.
Right. Do they follow is there somewhat of a schedule for meditation through the day?
Yeah, right. Yeah. They get up at 4 a.m. and the very first thing is meditation and chanting.
Wow.
That's for 2 hours. And then they have breakfast at 6. And then there's just more meditation and chanting. And there'll be some Dharma talks, but they'll be in Vietnamese. So perhaps one of the two that are my English students can tell me what the Dharma talk was about after the fact.
All right.
But there's a period of time in the mid-morning that's kind of open time, but it's a time where they do maintenance things around the temple that, of course, need to be done. You can't not do any maintenance stuff for 3 months. So there's a couple of hours in the morning where they do things like tend the gardens and clean the, sweeping and cleaning up things, housekeeping.
When I was on retreat, they called that the working meditation time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And they actually had instruction on how to be mindful when we were doing dishes. I volunteered to do the dishes because that was just after my shoulder. And I remember I had just read some of the Thich Nhat Hanh where he talks about doing dishes. I was like, oh, no, I got the dish meditation down. I'll be more than happy to do that. I don't need instruction on that. I can hang with that.
Yeah.
So that was what I did, was the cleaning. That was my working meditation, was cleaning the kitchen every day. And it was actually really nice to do that, do that little bit of service for the retreat. So
exactly. Right. And that's the idea, is they call it service meditation. those 2 hours during the morning service meditation. Service meaning work, not a service like a church service type service.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
service.
Working in service to the temple, right?
Mhm. Community service.
Yeah, yeah. The temple community, right? Yeah.
I just thought, yeah, community service also sounds like what they make you do when you go pick up
You
trash.
go
Because
to
you just had
prison.
it.
Right.
But no, in the program we call it service work too. So that's what I was thinking. That that's service work is when
Right.
you're helping out with around the clubhouse, or making your coffee or whatever you're doing for the group. That's the same thing. So
Right. So that will be interesting. Yeah. That will be great.
yeah, look, they're covering the rains. They're going to be there at the same time that the rains are in India. So
exactly. Right. Right. They're not Theravadan, but they're Mahayana, yet they do a lot of their practices follow the Theravadan practice, like this 3-month retreat, where they really do, close down, and they don't, and Mahayana does not follow you do not eat after midday. Theravadins do, but they do that during this 3 months. There's no eating after the midday meal. There is some food available, they said. There's some light food available in the kitchen for people who cannot sustain that little mini fast. But there's no prepared meal at all. So the idea is that you have breakfast and you have your midday meal and then you fast, which is definitely a Theravadan. And the whole idea of the 3 months retreat is Theravadan. The Mahayanas don't necessarily do that. They'll do other kinds of retreats, but they don't do the rains, whereas they're doing it. So I think they're
hybrid.
They're a hybrid, right? Because in our teaching, very frequently, one of the two nuns that live where I'm going to be visiting has said that, well, in the Theravadan tradition, we do this. And she says, we. So even though, they're very definitely, they have statues of Kuan Yin and things like that, which are clearly Mahayana. So it's going to be very interesting. Yeah. Right. I'm really looking forward to it. Well, it's 20 till and we have no Bhante.
Did we factor in for lack of daylight savings? Is he going to pop on at 8:30 instead, or?
Well, I told him specifically, this would be our time, Eastern Daylight Time, and your time it will be. And I, told him what time it would be. And with Eastern Daylight Time, it's 6 hours difference. So I did tell him that it would be, from 1 to 2 his time. So 7 a.m. here would be 1 o'clock there. Eastern Daylight Time would be 1 o'clock in France. So
a more reasonable time for him.
yeah, right. Yeah.
Because when at the first trip, when he was going to Italy, and I thought if we do it on the Thursday evening, it's going to be after midnight for him.
It'll be 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
7 p.m. us to 1 a.m. for him. It's
Right.
just switch
Going
the
till 2.
12 hours to.
Yeah.
But Well, we'll maybe give it another 5 minutes, and if he hasn't come, then
Yeah.
I think we can.
So is that community in Davenport, is it Kim Kang Temple?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You know it?
No, I've just have this thing in front of me called a computer and I just looked.
Oh, you checked it out. Yes, it's the Kim Khan Temple, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
No,
there's
I'm
6
interested in their
nuns live there. Huh?
I'm interested in their, you mentioned Chutan and just interested in their affiliation back to the temple in Saigon,
Ah,
if there is
and
one.
there is a King Kong in, I don't know where in Vietnam, but there is a King Kong in Vietnam.
Yeah. It was
I
really,
was first Googling it to check it out.
Mhm.
I got ones that were not in the US, and so I had to put in Davenport, Iowa to home it in on the one here. So this isn't the only king. I think, well, you know some Vietnamese. I think it means diamond, because I see some references that they call it the Diamond Temple.
oh, okay. Yeah, it could be. There's no diacritics on what I'm seeing here.
Well, and that changes it totally. Yeah.
It's amazing the
Yeah.
difference. I
Yeah.
mean, you just try to translate something without diacritics.
You can't
Like
do
Google
it.
Translate, it's you'll get, I
It
don't know.
changes the word totally.
Yeah,
The funny story, which you may have heard, but our abbot monk, Tai Hoi, Hoi,
yeah.
um, the diacritics changed the word to the point that what we have been calling him, or what I should say, what I have been calling him, the way I say HOI,
Yeah.
means stinky.
Yeah.
What his name actually means is reverent celebration
Okay.
with the diacritics. It changes
Very different meaning.
very different meaning, very different meaning. So without the diacritics, how do you know? I mean,
Yeah.
context, venerable HOI, what you can figure without the diacritics that it doesn't mean stinky, but we didn't know that. We just heard his name was, as I say it, Hoy, but that's stinky. And I don't know how to say it.
And you say, what's it translate to? Reverent?
Celebration, but a celebration of something that, like when we see the banners that they put up for the Great Compassion Festival and stuff, Hoy is on there.
Oh, okay.
It's so, it's festival, it's celebration, it's something along those lines. But of course, they have that same word in Vietnamese. There are 8 different tones. So there are 8 different combinations of diacritics for that word. So Hoi for celebrate, I don't even know if he uses the same diacritics as celebration does. So it could be that his name really doesn't even mean celebration. But I saw the banner and I said, "Oh, there's your name." And he said, he kind of laughed and he said, "That means celebration." So I really don't know what his name, I don't know diacritics.
Pretty sure it's not stinky though.
We know it's not stinky, right? That's for sure. But he never said a word, he just smiles. He just smiles. So yeah, without the diacritics, one word could mean 8 different things.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I know they say English is hard, but whew, I can't imagine that.
Yeah. Well, and we don't use anything that tells us how to say a word. We don't use any marks like bow and bow. I mean,
Right.
they're spelled exactly the same, but the pronunciation changes the meaning totally. So we have that phenomenon, but we just don't have the courtesy of having any kind of marks to show people how to say it.
Or we
Yeah.
say things the same and then spell them differently.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's that, right?
You know, with there and there, I know that I've talked to people who were learning English that said that that was really confusing when they were listening. They're like, wait a minute. And then they'd see it
Wow.
written there, like, oh, that's not the same way. We're there,
That's
and there
right.
here is different. And yeah,
And they are the contraction for, yeah. So they're there, and there.
There, enough.
Right.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
we have the diacritics. I mean, the dictionaries use them for
We
to show pronunciation, but we don't use them when we write. We don't use them in our everyday.
right, because we don't write phonetically. So
Right.
yeah, I've actually looked into, within the last few months, I've looked into a couple of the TESOL universities because I wanted to start traveling more. And they said that was a good way, was to teach English in different places. So I've been
Right.
looking at some of that, since originally way back when, that was what my degree was in, was English. So I thought it'd be interesting to teach. And yeah, there's a lot that goes into. Fortunately, I don't have, if I teach something like Vietnamese people or Japanese people, I don't actually have to learn their language first, which is good.
right.
Right. That's what I did when I lived in Japan. Under the table, I taught.
Yeah,
My visa was a student visa, but I taught. And their English is good enough that, of course, I was studying Japanese, but their English is good enough that that you don't have to be able to speak it. It's conversation. They can write a beautiful in Japan. They can write a beautiful paragraph.
right.
Mhm.
But if you say, "Hi, how are you doing today?" they go, "Oh."
I,
It's the ear that they need the training in.
Yeah.
yeah,
And there's actually a lot of it. There's a lot now in openings down in South America. There's a lot of people who are wanting to learn English, conversational English. Some of the larger Spanish corporations are starting to do like the Japanese did, where they'll pay to have a translator or pay to have a teacher come in. There's a lot of that going on now in South America, and a lot of it in the Western Europe, and the Slovak places. But a lot of that's online. You don't have to do it in person.
Right.
I was like, I'll do it in person though, because I want to do some traveling. So
Yeah.
and that'd be a good way to pick up money while I was there, so I wouldn't have to lean too heavily into my retirement. So
Right. Absolutely. And it's easy to find. It's easy to find. I did the same thing when I was in France. I, tutored English conversation. Yeah, while I was studying. So yeah, and even there, you can find those opportunities pretty easily.
Mhm.
Yeah, pretty easily.
it's just been recommended that I spend at least 1 year without surgery before I do it,
Well, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
so I don't have to do a summer of PT while I'm trying to do. This is now the second summer that I've spent in PT. So next
Right.
year, next year's the charm. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah. No, you don't want to. It takes a good year for a surgery, especially one as major as you just had. It takes a good year for it to really heal.
Mm.
I mean, it just does. It takes a good year for things to get back to normal.
Yeah, I had one of those moments when I walked into Temple on Wednesday. When I went into Temple on Wednesday, and I was thinking about it, and it was literally one of those moments, because I walked in and I looked over to the side and I'm like, oh, I've got, the problem with my leg. And I looked over and there was a younger man over there in a wheelchair with casts on both his ankles. And I was
Right.
like, well, I don't have that going on. I was like,
Right. So he was back.
All relative.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was
Yeah.
there Wednesday and I was like, yep, it's all relative. He's like, I'm homeless and I can't walk. And I was like, yeah, nope, I don't have it in me. I'm doing fine. Nothing wrong here.
He's taking the bus to get to Temple. The
Yes.
city bus. I mean, that's will.
Mhm.
That's determination. Double casted in a wheelchair, getting on a city bus, getting himself from the bus stop to the temple.
Wow.
Yeah, that last leg
bit.
is through gravel parking lot.
And through the gravel parking lot, right? Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad to hear he was back. Yeah.
Yeah.
This was his second time that he's been there then.
Yeah, and Chuck Don asked us about
Max. Mhm.
and Chuck Don picked on both of us. He's like, oh, brothers that can't walk, talk to me. I was like, okay,
The gimpy contingent.
give us the dharma of the gimp. And I was like, yeah. I didn't say, wow, I thought I had it bad till I looked over there, but
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, but he's a nice guy and he had a good and when it started off with Bobby with the beard, he just had a series of events where he was forced to leave his job, I think. But then the next day, a good friend of his called up, he's a neuroscientist at EVMS, called up and said, hey, I need an assistant. Can you start tomorrow? And he was like, that's the best job I could have asked for. I had no idea it was even open and it just fell into my lap. I was
Wow.
like, oh, that's awesome.
Wow.
So,
boy, that's, yeah.
so we were just talking about good coming out of bad if you just allow it to.
Yeah.
And it was a nice session there at the temple on Wednesday.
Good. Right. That's great. Well, good for him. I'm glad for Bobby. And if he hadn't lost his other job, he wouldn't have been able to have picked that up.
Yeah.
You never know. You just don't know.
Yeah, there was and it was funny because right in the middle of it, while he's describing this, Stephanie said, because he mentioned, you know, he says I could stay with the anger, I could go to love. And Stephanie breaks in and she goes, that reminds me, there's Dharma 101.
Right.
And Chuck Tong turned it into a commercial. He goes, oh, he says, is this a word from our sponsor? We were like,
well, I'll have to.
He said, yes, for $5.99, you can have extra happiness if you come on Saturday. So yeah, we were joking around about it. Was word from the sponsor was the 101 class.
Yep. Yep. Turning anger into love. And that's one of the big points that I'll be making too. Yeah, that's great. That's funny.
Yeah, it really was. It broke everybody up.
Yeah. Stephanie's a hoot.
Yes, she is.
She really is.
Well, if we hang on another 5 minutes, we can see if he's going to make it at 8.
Right, all the different time possibilities, right? That would be 2 o'clock his time. So I don't know what's going on, obviously.
Well, the beignet took a little longer to get through than he expected. So, he's got to come back and get the crumbs off before he.
Yeah. Yeah, this wasn't one of the confusion factors was not that it would start at 8. That was never one of the many times chosen. So we'll see. I don't know. Unless I've got the time, but I Googled it. I said Eastern Daylight Time and, in Eastern Daylight Time to France. And that this is what I got. So I have imagined that it's correct. I have a world clock thing on my phone that tells the time in different places around the world that I have lived or that I know people. And right now, right now in Paris, it's 1:57. So in the afternoon. And it's 82 degrees, by the way. And in Kathmandu, not surprisingly, it's raining.
It's the rain time.
Yep. It's raining in New Delhi also. It is the rains, the rainy season.
I just happened to pop onto the world clock thing, and it says that for the France, the entirety of France, there are 12 time zones because of all of their different territories around the world. So,
Oh, right. Right, but not France proper, but because of their territories.
right, yeah.
Right. Well, this one, what I have is Paris, because that's otherwise, yeah. Otherwise, it can get. So I have Paris on there. But the nation, the country proper only has one time zone.
Right, so it's,
I think. Yeah.
Well, it's 1:58 p.m. in all of Italy.
In all of Italy.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I don't have Italy on here, but I know France and Italy are on the same
time.
Same time zone, right?
Which is Central European.
Because it runs by the latitudes and the longitudinal measurements. So Italy is right under that part of France, Western France, I guess.
I had it easy. When all my friends were the people that I worked with. I used to work with Spain and Okinawa, but then it just was Okinawa, and it was really easy because all I had to do was switch the AM to PM.
Until we go off daylight saving time.
Right.
Then it switches everything.
Then it was just the time plus one, so it was pretty easy.
Right.
But
So, yeah.
But when I worked with Rhoda in Spain, that was more difficult because I'd sit there and say, okay, I had the world clock. I had the app for the world clock to tell me what time it was.
Yeah, 6 hours is that's a difficult time difference,
Yeah.
because it just is. I don't know why it's so hard, but 6 hours makes it from morning to night rather than a whole nother day.
Yeah, and the easiest thing for them was in order for me to not have to have meetings at 8 o'clock in the morning, because I couldn't get everybody else. I'm up, but I couldn't get everybody else up. So this was when the meeting would start over there, and it was 2 o'clock, and it was right after lunch, and they hated they hated having the meeting at 2 o'clock. When I worked with the Italian hospital, that was even worse because they were very clear that I was making problems with lunch. I said, what time is lunch? I said, what time is lunch? They said from 11 to 2. I was like, are you serious? They said, oh yeah, from 11 to 2, we will not be in any meetings. And probably you don't want to try it before 3 o'clock,
Right.
because we need time to get back into work.
Right.
But they were more than happy to have a meeting. The nice thing was that they'd have a meeting at 6 or 7 o'clock at night because
Well, yeah, because they worked later right.
they would take a
They
huge.
have that long lunchtime. They worked later into the evening, right?
It
Yeah.
was very interesting. And a lot
France,
of,
yeah. France isn't quite that, well, when I was there, that was a long time ago when I lived in France. But that was like in the 60s. But they had the not quite as elaborately as they did in Italy, apparently, but they still had the long lunch times.
I don't know if it's like that everywhere in Italy, but I know that the people who worked on the base, the locals were like, no, that's the time, because a lot of them like to go out to the restaurants, which there was no good restaurants around where we were in Naples. So going to a nice place to eat usually took about 30 to 45 minutes. So they would take a leisurely drive out there, and then there was an hour for a meal, and then they would come back, and that was like written into the contract for the base, was that their lunch was a 2-hour lunch. It was written in.
Right.
They would like, all right. When we went to test, though, it was great, because they would take us to these restaurants that they'd been going to. It was the first place I ever had real handmade mozzarella from water bison, and that was just amazing. The food was, I came back and I was like, I can't work with them anymore, because every time I know that they're at lunch, I'm just going to feel depressed. Because I'm in Virginia Beach and I can see a McDonald's from here, and I know that they're getting ready to go to that restaurant.
Right. Yeah, different lifestyles.
Mm-hmm.
Different lifestyles. Well, who knows? I have no idea of anything regarding the whereabouts of other students and of Bhante too, also.
That was worth the wait.
Yeah, well, we had a nice visit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I will let Peter know that he can delete this recording. Because this is being recorded.
Yeah.
And I don't have the power to stop it. So
Yeah.
only the host does, and that's Peter.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. So
okay. So
best wishes with the 101 class tomorrow.
oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I will be back August whatever.
Yeah.
The first Friday in August, I'll be back.
Oh, the 3rd,
The 3rd, is that what it is?
I think.
1, 2, 3, or 4th. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, sorry, the 4th.
The 4th, right.
Yeah, the 4th.
Right,
Wow.
August 4th, I'll be back.
Okay.
So, happy trails, may all be well.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'll see everybody whenever.
Yep.
Will you be able to make it tomorrow, Jack?
Yes.
Are you being mobile enough? Okay.
I'm planning it. If I can hopefully I can find a pillow to bring with me, but if not, I might not stay the whole time. But yeah, I'm progressively making it longer times.
We can get a bunch of those brown cushions and see if that works.
I'll probably bring the orange one that I've been bringing to the
Right.
regular one.
Yeah.
The nice firm orange one for one side, and then the soft one for the side with the scar. So I got to double up.
And if the chairs don't work, we can bring in that bench that sits by the heart bell. There's that bench that people sit on when they're
Yeah.
big bell. If that's better for you than a chair. So
no, I actually sit in an office chair almost all day long. It's just a question of cushioning and being able to not sit straight up. Like I have to lean back every once in a while to release,
Right,
put the hip back.
right, gotcha. Get the pressure off of the healing spot. Okay, well, we'll work something out for you.
Yeah,
And
we'll work it out.
if you have to leave, then that's cool too. Yeah.
Yep.
So, all
But yeah,
right.
I'll be there. So,
Okie doke. All right. Everybody take care.
all right,
And anybody you want to share merit? Let's share merit.
sure.
Yeah. Let's do Bhante's. Let's do Bhante's sharing merit. The English of it is, I know okay. Well, we could do the Pali. You want to do the Pali version of it? And you can just, I'll say it and you can.
I can try.
I'll say it one line at a time and then you can repeat it. How's that? We'll see how it goes. Dukkha pata cheni dukkha.
Dukkha pata cheni pata.
Bhaya pata cheni bhaya.
Baya pata.
Bhaya pata cheni
Cheni bhaya.
cheni bhaya.
Soka pata
Soka pata
cheni soka.
cheni soka.
Hontu sabe
Honta sabe
pipanino.
Kipanino.
kipanino.
Okay, the English. May those who suffer be free from suffering.
May those who suffer be free from suffering.
May those who fear be free from fear.
May those who fear be free from fear.
May those who sorrow be free from sorrow.
May those who sorrow be free from sorrow.
May all living beings also be thus.
May all living beings also be thus.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu.
I actually love this one.
Yeah, I was about to say, I really like that. Do you have that written down that you could?
I do, but it's also inside the front cover of our service guide.
Oh, okay.
But
Oh, then I have it.
we never do it. But I think when I get back to Sangha, which will be in about 2 weeks again, I'm going to use that for the, if I'm the one that does I'll do the English only there. Though.
Sure.
But since this is a Pali class, but yeah, I will take a picture of it and send it to you. Do you want it, Tom?
Yes, I have.
You have it.
I should, because I have printed off the service guide.
Well, if you have a picture of it, I was thinking we could throw it into the Sangha chat too. So that everybody can see it.
Okay. All right. Tom, we have a Sangha WhatsApp chat.
Oh, okay.
Now. Would you like to be on that?
Sure.
Okay.
Carl is the person who's running it. So I have your phone number.
Yeah, my WhatsApp is my cell phone number. So yeah, just send me a link.
Okay, I will send I will send it to Carl. He's the one managing that. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
And I'll take a picture of it and send it and put it on the WhatsApp chat.
Excellent.
Okay. All right. Okay.
All right. I'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. And see
I'm
you.
not sure when I'll see you again, Tom, but
Yep.
go well.
Yep. Safe travels, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. You too. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.